Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge, y'all. I'm so excited today. The weather was beautiful. We had a gorgeous day and I was able to spend some time out with Clover and the sheep. And it wasn't so cold. It wasn't cold, it wasn't so windy, and it wasn't snowing. And so it has been just a beautiful day, and I'm so grateful. This is the day the Lord has made. And y'all, I am excited too because today we are going to can some potatoes. I have been canning potatoes. We grew a lot of potatoes in our garden this year, and they were fabulous. And I didn't can them all. I saved some just to be eating and to make baked potatoes or some home fried. I really don't fry food, but I air fry food and making potatoes for like our omelets in the mornings and different things. And I've been saving the canned potatoes, but therefore if I'm not available and husband needs some food, he can just heat something up. They're also available if I'm in a hurry. I like to be able to empty that jar of potatoes and I can make some really quick mashed potatoes because those potatoes are cooked. But I discovered something else this week that I really love, and I have decided instead of risking the rest of my potatoes growing sprouts, I am going to can the rest of my homegrown potatoes. So this is my canned potatoes. And you see they got a little starchy at the bottom. That's not a problem. But I've had these on the shelf for a little while. And I have actually taken them out, drained them, and made mashed potatoes out of them. But this morning I discovered something amazing. I drained them, rinsed them, and just dumped them in the air fryer. And I put them in there until they were nice and crispy. The best potatoes ever! It basically just kind of toasts the outside of them and they get nice and crunchy on the outside and they're ooey gooey and soft on the inside. Those were fantastic. So I am going to can the rest of these, and a lot of these are my purple and blue potatoes, which I'm really excited to see how pretty they look when they turn out. So we have our beautiful potatoes here. Y'all, these purple potatoes are a favorite of mine. I love them. They're a lot smaller, but that is okay. And you just want to be sure you have scrubbed them clean. I'm a fan of leaving the skins on. And not everybody is. And so if you're taking the skins off, it's important to clean them, but it's not as important as scrubbing in all those little nooks and crannies. So when I'm cleaning my potatoes, I clean them with a nice stiff scrub brush or even some steel wool. And you don't want to scrub them with something that has detergent or something like that in there, though you can clean those with some produce cleaner or something of that nature. But anyway, I have scrubbed these very clean, and I also have some red and white here as well. And so I want to take each one of these now. If any of them has a little blemish or a spot on there, I will go ahead and cut that off, and then I'm just going to dice these up, and I'm going to go in big chunks because you can do these any size. You can cut them into French fry size, in sticks. You can cut them into tiny pieces. And you can really use any kind of potato. Just know that the russet potatoes tend to be a little bit softer. It's not a problem. I have canned those. You just may end up with a little sediment in the bottom. Not a big deal. That can also, sometimes you can end up with starchy stuff in the bottom. That's not a big deal at all. So don't worry about that. But your russet potatoes can be a little softer, and so they may not be quite as pretty, but they still do just fine. But the harder the potato, the better they will do. Okay? So I think reds are probably the hardest and do the best, but I've also done a lot of these, but I'm excited about doing the purple ones. You're going to want about 9 to 10 pounds of potatoes. We'll do about 7-quart jars. And that is what we're going to put in our big pressure canner. Let's get chopping up. so we're all set up. I have my canning jars ready. I have here a pot of water, and I have filled it up, not too full, because you've only got 7 quarts of jars here, 7-quart jars, and so by the time we put our potatoes in there, we're going to top them off with boiling water. So I've got this almost boiling, and then here I've got my pressure canner ready. And so in the pressure canner, most canners, your canner book will tell you how much water to put in your canner. It does not take much water. You're not boiling anything, you're pressure canning whatever you put in here. So mine doesn't take but about 1 inch of water, and so you want to make sure you have enough water according to your manufacturer. Right now I've got this on medium heat because I want this to be really warm, and as I get my jars going, I'll turn this up a little bit higher because this is going to boil a whole lot faster than this, so I don't have to have it boiling just yet. And so, but what we're going to do is we're going to have warm jars and a warm canner. You don't ever want to have cold jars, warm canner, okay? You don't want to have hot jars, cold canner. You want them to be the same. So we're going to have warm jars. We're going to put cold stuff in it, but we're going to put hot boiling water in it. Follow me? Warm jars, warm canner. Let's get those jars loaded with potatoes. So we're going to start by putting a teaspoon of salt in each jar. This is completely optional, and you can use any type of salt that you like. I'm using canning salt, but you don't have to use any at all. You can also use other seasoning, but I'm not crazy about doing that because I never know how I'm going to use the potato exactly. Now we're just going to ladle this really hot boiling water right into our jars with 1 inch headspace. Now we're just going to check our 1 inch. Perfect. Perfect. Here more. Now we're going to wipe these rims right here really good. We don't want any starch built up on them. We don't want any splatter, no potato, no fingerprints. Really, you don't want anything on there. Now we've had our flats simmering, and we're going to pull them out of the hot water, and we're going to place them on each jar. The rings on finger tight. We want to make sure our valve is completely open because right now we just want this to steam, and we want to wait until we see steam coming out, then we'll set our timer for 10 minutes. So right now we're just going to leave it open and let it heat up. As soon as you see consistent steam coming up, you want to set your timer for 10 minutes. Leave everything just as it is, just set your timer for 10 minutes. So as soon as you hear that timer go off, you know it's time to close your valve. And now we want to bring this to 10 pounds of pressure. So we're going to keep a close eye on our pressure gauge, and we'll adjust our heat as we need to keep it at 10 pounds of pressure. Remember, check the manufacturer's instructions for your canner. This is a t-fal. I love it because you don't have to deal with any weights. You have your pressure gauge. It is so easy, and it has so many features for safety. So I love my t-fal, but we're going to wait until it reached 10 pounds of pressure. Then we'll set our timer. At 10 pounds of pressure, you can go ahead and set your timer for 40 minutes for quart jars, and you can set it for 35 for pints. And there's our timer. So I'm just going to turn the timer off, and I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm not going to touch the canner at all right now. I just want it to cool down naturally, and then when the pressure is at 0, we will open up the valve and open up the canner. But right now, just turn off the heat. Let it cool all by itself. So our pressure is down to 0. Now we're going to open the lid. Feel some steam. They look beautiful. I am going to let them sit here and let them completely cool down. I don't want to pull them out. It's still warm in there. I can feel the steam. So I'm just going to leave them in here until that even dies down, and then I'll pull them out and sit them on the counter. But y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It has been so much fun. I love canning potatoes, having them on the shelf and ready just to pull off at any time to dump them in a soup or a stew, put them in a casserole. I heard a jar. Seal. But don't forget, put them in your air fryer. Set it at about 10 to 15 minutes and let them get crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. You will love them. But you can also dump out this liquid or keep it, some of it, and you can make mashed potatoes with them. So quick and easy. Far better than those instant mashed potatoes. Y'all have so much fun with this. Can some potatoes, grow your potatoes, and can those potatoes. And y'all, I'll see you again next week. Have a great week.